This is Arkies in the Beltway, your look at national politics and the Arkansans influencing the discussions. I'm Alex Thomas, Washington Correspondent for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, reporting from the nation's capital. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Arkies in the Beltway for the week of March 2nd, 2025. The Senate and House of Representatives have passed separate budget resolutions, laying a pathway for a sweeping package addressing Republicans' top priorities. Now, they just have to agree on what to do. The House last Tuesday approved a budget blueprint largely along party lines, Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie the only GOP member to oppose the plan. The Senate approved its plan back on February 21st. The House resolution would allow Congress to extend $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and cut $2 trillion in spending over the next 10 years. The Senate proposal does not include those tax cuts, with Senate Republicans instead emphasizing funding for defense and border security. Representative French Hill of Little Rock spoke in favor of the House blueprint in a floor speech last Tuesday.
It delivers on President Trump's agenda to put the American people first. This resolution does protect the American people from the largest tax increase in American history.
House Democrats unified in their opposition, vocal with their concerns about what spending cuts could mean for government programs. The House resolution does not specify how committees should cut spending, but that has not stopped speculation about what could happen. The plan calls for the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over Medicaid, to cut $880 billion in spending. The House Agriculture Committee, which handles matters involving nutrition programs, would need to find $230 billion in cuts. More than 820,000 Arkansans have health insurance through Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program. Nearly 235,000 Arkansans receive benefits through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as food stamps. Laura Kelms is the Northwest Arkansas Director for Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families. She says any spending cuts to these programs would have a tremendous impact in the natural state.
Big changes like this would actually have a huge impact in Arkansas because we're a lower income state and we have hundreds of thousands of children who would be impacted by the types of cuts that this proposal calls for.
Kelms additionally raised another possible issue, what this could mean for Medicaid expansion. Arkansas and 8 other states have laws automatically ending Medicaid expansion if federal funding dips below the 90% match rate.
If they change that match rate, our Medicaid expansion in Arkansas actually is eliminated in 30 days. So we have a trigger law in Arkansas that if they lower that match rate in order to give tax cuts to the wealthy, then we lose our Medicaid expansion.
Representative Steve Womack of Rogers led the House Budget Committee in 2018 and currently serves as a senior House appropriator. He says the worries over government programs are not misplaced.
They're just maybe a bit premature because you have to be able to go through the process as it's laid out in order to get to something that you can actually have an up or down vote on and be recorded as either in favor of that outcome or opposed.
Representative Bruce Westerman joined Hill and other Republicans in speaking about the budget resolution on the House floor. The Hot Springs congressman described fears about the future of Medicaid as a scare tactic.
I can say as a former state legislator, and I'm happy to remind my colleagues across the aisle, that Medicaid is a state and federal program, and not a single person will lose Medicaid coverage unless their state makes that choice.
The future of nutrition assistance has been a topic in discussions regarding another pressing issue on Capitol Hill. Congress has yet to approve a multi-year farm bill authorizing agriculture, rural development, and nutrition assistance programs. Senator John Bozeman of Rogers leads the Senate Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry Committee. Representative Rick Crawford of Jonesboro serves on the House counterpart. Crawford says the House budget resolution is just one step in trying to pass bicameral legislation.
I think it's just important that we get this thing in the hopper and send it over to the Senate so we can refine it.
As Senate and House members anticipate what's next, Womack fears Congress is ignoring a more immediate matter, a looming government shutdown. Federal funding will run out after March 14th without congressional action. President Donald Trump has voiced support for a continuing resolution funding the government through September, the end of the current fiscal year. That is not Womack's preferred option.
We have an alternative to it. We have called the FY25 appropriation bills, that we need to pass. And there's a lot of very important things in there. They are bills written not by the Biden administration. These are bills written by House Republicans on our side. And we have an opportunity here to execute on full-year appropriations that we couldn't get finished before the end of the last Congress.
Friday marked 2 weeks until the March 14th deadline. Federal lawmakers yet to announce final terms of a deal. Senator Tom Cotton is officially running for re-election. The senator from Little Rock launched a bid for another 6-year term last Thursday. Cotton speaking with the Democrat-Gazette.
It's been a great honor and privilege to represent the people of Arkansas in the United States Senate, and I'm pleased with what we've accomplished over the last decade, but there's a lot of work left to do.
Cotton arrived on Capitol Hill in January 2013, serving as the congressman for Arkansas's 4th Congressional District. He defeated Democrat Mark Pryor in the 2014 midterm elections, starting his Senate career in January 2015. Cotton made his announcement at the start of Republicans' governing trifecta in Washington between Trump and the White House and the GOP controlling both chambers of Congress. He says he and other Republicans have 2 years to prove themselves to American voters.
I think the very best campaign strategy is always to govern well and deliver results for the people of Arkansas, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Cotton enters the race in a strong position. His campaign has nearly $7.5 million cash on hand, and every major Arkansas Republican in office is backing his re-election effort. Cotton's name has popped up multiple times over the years regarding other positions, including president and part of the second Trump administration. The senator is aware of the trickle of rumors, but he says he would like to remain in Congress's upper chamber.
In the president, I'm serving the people of Arkansas and asking for their vote again.
Sabato's crystal ball at the University of Virginia Center for Politics lists Arkansas's upcoming U.S. Senate race as a safe Republican contest for the time being. There is another effort on Capitol Hill to expand the Flatside Wilderness area in central Arkansas. Representative Hill has reintroduced a measure to add more than 2,200 acres of the Ouachita National Forest to this protected wilderness space. Hill pushed identical legislation in the last 2 Congresses without the House ever voting on these bills. Last October marked 40 years since President Ronald Reagan signed legislation creating this space, placing the highest level of federal protection on this land. Arkansas's lawmakers at that time, Senators Dale Bumpers and David Pryor, and Representative Ed Bethune, instrumental in pushing for these protections. Hill says the original Flatside Wilderness area should have included this 2,200 acres.
This rectifies that 40-year-old deficit and completes Flatside as originally contemplated by Senator Dale Bumpers and Congressman Ed Bethune when they first advocated for it.
Bethune, who represented Arkansas's 2nd Congressional District for 6 years, says places like the Flatside Wilderness area serve an important purpose amid growing use and presence of technology.
I just think it's important to realize, particularly in this day and time, that we do need the high-touch experiences that can only be found in our state parks and in our wilderness areas. Wilderness areas are the ultimate because that protects it for all time to come.
Hill's measure would additionally rename the Flatside Wilderness area to the Flatside Bethune Wilderness. The House Natural Resources Committee, which Representative Westerman chairs, receiving the legislation for an initial review. A look at the week ahead, President Trump will address a joint session of Congress on Tuesday. The president will start delivering his remarks around 8 o'clock Central that evening. Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin will deliver the Democratic response to the president's speech. Later in the week, members of the Senate Agriculture Committee will consider Representative Westerman's bill on forest management. The House passed the Fix Our Forest Act in late January. The measure aims to expedite environmental reviews for projects and promote forest resiliency. That hearing will happen Thursday morning at 10 o'clock Central. And that'll do it for this edition of Arkies in the Beltway for the week of March 2nd, 2025. You can stay up to date with all news involving Arkansas at arkansasonline.com. Special thanks, as always, to the team down in Little Rock. I'm Alex Thomas, and this has been Arkies in the Beltway. Thanks for listening.